But the thing is, like, he keeps saying that we've got to eat less meat, and we've got to cut our consumption of meat out to be healthy, and that we're going to get used to these meat alternatives. When a guy like that says that, I'm like, are you making money because of this? Like, why are you saying that? And by the way, you look like shit. Like, because if you're eating those plant-based burgers or whatever the fuck you're doing, like, you're obese. Like, a guy like that telling people about he's got these breasts
Boobs.
and this gut, and I'm like, this is crazy. You're one of the richest guys on earth. You have access to the best nutrients, the best. You could have an amazing trainer. You could be in phenomenal shape, and you're giving out public health advice. You're giving out health advice, and you're sick. It's like literally like a non-athlete trying to coach professionals. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? How are you giving any health advice when you look like that? Your health is piss poor. I'm not a doctor. But when you've got man boobs and a gut and you're walking around, you have these like toothpick arms. I'm like, hey, buddy, you're not healthy.
Well.
Welcome back to the Angry American Show, everyone. Welcome back. I've got a juicy one for you today. Joe Rogan is on a roll. I mean, this guy, I've always been a fan of Rogan. I really have. His UFC, I even liked, what was that show where you ate crazy things? I forget what it was called. But Joe Rogan blasts, I'm over here at the Blaze. Joe Rogan blasts Bill Gates for lecturing people about health when he has man boobs, a gut, and toothpick arms. Now, as you saw in the intro, man, he fired all guns at this flabby. This guy is not the picture of health, and he's trying to tell us about health. So what is his angle is what Joe gets at. Why is this guy telling us what to eat and how we need to stop eating what we've been eating for millions of years? That we need to make our lives as unnatural, as unorganic as we possibly can by eating manufactured, copyrighted, for lack of a better term, foods. They make the healthy burgers in factories, consolidated, big money in all of this, and that's what you should eat. And they're going to try to regulate that. Hell, they're even doing it in schools where they got meatless Mondays and Fridays, and they're feeding these kids garbage, manufactured processed foods. These hippies today are the wannabe hippies of today. The Antifa types and the BLM types, they and all these lefty idiots, they need to broaden their scope a little bit and realize if your viewpoints align with people like this, mega millionaires, huge corporations, banks, corrupt governments, if your viewpoints are in line with them, you're probably not a hippie. Okay, you're probably not a hippie. Let's get right on with the story, folks. There's our boy Bill Gates, the pirate of Silicon Valley. Hell, this guy basically stole his whole fortune from some poor sap who was duped by him. Okay, let's get on with it. Joe Rogan challenged the premise that Bill Gates is a trusted spokesperson on health, and why shouldn't you? What's his motivation? Well, we'll get into it. The podcast giant poked fun at the physique of Microsoft founder who regularly dishes out health advice. On a side note, I think with Bill's medical, I don't know what the hell you want to call it, his experiments, I think he's banned in India and maybe Africa because of the experiments he did there on human beings, and it didn't work out real well for the people. Okay. Joe Rogan challenged Bill Gates, okay, and a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience. He featured author and registered dietitian. The lady in the video is Deanna Rogers, a New York Times bestselling author and former research biochemist. The guy is Rob Wolf. During a discussion about how there are movements against red meat, Wolf proposed that there are concerted efforts to consolidate who produces food, and asserted that there were some folks who want food production to be operated like software, meaning some corporation will own intellectual property on certain man-made foods. Now let's go ahead and let's peep another quick clip that talks more about that.
So I don't understand. Like, what is there? I always thought that with scientific papers, you had to cite sources and you had to. So
Up until about 2 years ago, that was pretty consistent. And then I think we've seen a loosening of standards.
Here's the difference between 2017 and 2019. So you can see the top part is what we're doing in excess. And you can see that diets high in red meat used to be a very small percentage of like the cause of death globally, which is even a silly thing. But it used to be sodium was much higher. And now meat has gone up. Do you see this? 36 times more likely to be the cause of death
how is that?
in 2 years.
So this is the study. This is and this analysis when they're doing this. How are they coming to this conclusion?
Right.
Nobody knows.
They
Nobody
just
knows.
tell you.
They're
Just saying it.
They're just saying it.
So what is their motivation?
We don't really know.
I mean, a little tinfoil hatty. I think that there's a powerful desire to consolidate food production globally. And this is an amazing way to do it. As it is, I think that 6 or 7 companies produce like 90% of the food that's consumed globally. But what we've seen over time is just more consolidation. And there's this kind of weird interface between tech and venture capital and food. There have been some interesting pieces where folks are looking at food like they want it to be operated like IP, like software. They want you to be able to own the
It's
intellectual
interesting you
property
say that
around
because
it.
Bill Gates is now the largest owner of farmland in the United States.
Yeah.
We looked at that up once. There was some sort of dispute about that, but then we looked at it, said he was.
He wants to
right?
be.
He owns a lot.
He
Put it that
owns
way.
a shitload.
The Gates,
Yeah.
Gates Foundation is one of the major sponsors of this study that I was just talking
so
about.
it's fuckery.
I think this guy's onto something. I think Joe, as usual, is onto something. That's why the left always wants to silence him. That's why the mega corporations, the elite, want to silence him. He's a voice of reason. He's like, well, why do you think these idiots want us to not eat red meat anymore? Something that's organic, something that we can raise ourselves. If we just have a little bit of grass and a little bit of land for them to eat off of, then we can eat them. And this has been going on for millions of years. Why do we need to change that now and we can't make Beyond Burgers at home. These are going to be made in huge production facilities run by the elites, the people making a fortune off of controlling what you eat. So according to a 2021 report, Gates was the largest private farmland owner in the U.S. with an estimated 242,000 acres of farmland, according to analysis by the Land Report. Rogan pointed out how Gates is an ardent supporter of humans eating less or no meat. In February 2021, Gates said wealthy nations should entirely shift to synthetic beef, fake meat. Now, how unnatural and unorganic, if you will, is that? If you're about health and nature, that's natural. Meat is the best source of protein for humans, period. Fake meat, processed foods. You guys want everything to be organic. How are you going to support synthetic beef? It makes no sense. You guys never make any sense on the left, and you support the people who are controlling you and duping you. He goes on to say how you get used to the flavor and blah, blah, blah. And then Rogan ripped him for lecturing people on what to eat while not being in the best shape a person could be in. He goes, and by the way, you look like shit. Rogan told Gates, if you're eating those plant-based burgers or whatever the F you're doing, you're obese. And he's not wrong. The guy looks like a dumpy, old, rich slob. Regarding Bill Gates, who has a net worth of $130 billion, he's like, Rogan, a guy like that telling people about it, he's got these breasts and this gut. And I'm like, this is crazy. You're one of the richest guys on earth. You have access to the best nutrients. You could be in phenomenal shape, and you look like a sickly, dumpy old fart. He ripped the guy, and I'm saying props to Joe Rogan for just speaking the truth. He is a true hippie. In a lot of ways, he's a modern day hippie, and he's a hero to the people, in my opinion, because he has a platform and he can say it to mass audiences. That's why they want to silence this guy, because he goes against the establishment, like Bill Gates. You're a picture of health, Bill. Look at you. Look how soft. Those look like ladies' hands. I mean, this guy is not a picture of health. So to sum the whole thing up, folks, the point is, if you call yourself a modern day hippie or whatever you call yourself, an anarchist, you Antifa idiots, BLM idiots, the left, AOCs and all these people, Joe Biden included, they've got motivation, and it's money and control. And this is another way to control you. You can't raise your own food. You have to buy it from them. They produce it in these massive facilities and then dole it out to you however they'd like. And they have more and more control over you. They tell you falsehoods like synthetic beef is going to be better for you. Processed food, better for you? Come on, that should send up a million red flags right away. We've always known that processed foods, the less you process a food, the healthier it is. The only processing should be killing it and eating it, cutting it up and eating it. I know it sounds savage, but that's the way life works. We can't live in this weird bubble where everything we create is man-made. That's not natural. That's unnatural. It goes against the laws of nature, and it's a fake narrative. They're trying to push down your throats, another one, and they will have more control over your life. They'll convince you, if you're soft-headed enough to believe the BS that they're spilling out of their mouths, into eating fake burgers that they produce. And they have a copyright or a brand, whatever it is, they have all the rights to it. You can't do it yourself. That's more power, that's more control for their side. And that is never a good thing. So this dumpy old fart is a liar and a scumbag, and he's one of the richest people in the world. If you're listening to him for advice, you are being duped and you are a lemming. And that's the bottom line. That's really the bottom line. Quit following around these elites. AOC and Tax the Rich dress, they're all fools and liars. She goes on vacation in Florida, the state that she hates, while her own state is under all kinds of mandates and shit, and she supports all that. But yet she goes to one of the freest states in the union and sits around with no mask on, enjoying life, but she won't let you enjoy life. Come on, guys, you're being duped. Quit falling for this BS. These ultra-rich people all have motivations. They all have an angle. Follow the money. One of the oldest sayings in time. Follow the money. If you want to find the truth, follow the money. They have their angles, and it's about control and money. Don't follow this guy. Do not get your medical advice from Bill Gates. Or, doctors for the most part. There's some good ones. But my wife worked in the medical field for a short time, and she will tell you that Big Pharma always gives kickbacks to the doctors. You dole out our poison, and we'll take care of you. And they do it on a grand scale. So don't follow these idiots. Get your medical information from a trusted doctor, and they're hard to find. So I don't know. Do the best you can, but definitely don't follow Bill Gates' advice. The guy's a moron. He's one of the elite, power-hungry idiots trying to control the future of mankind, and it's not working, guys. Joe Rogan is kicking back, and mad respect to Joe Rogan. I like him more and more every day, and that's why the left goes after him more and more every day. Anyway, guys, until next time, be aware of your surroundings at all times, because shit be popping off out here. Peace out.